Welcome back, Lincoln currency. When we think of American coins, few are as iconic, as humble, and yet as surprisingly valuable as the simple 1-cent piece. Known affectionately as the penny, the 1-cent coin has been a cornerstone of U.S. currency since the late 18th century, serving as a symbol of everyday transactions, of childhood piggy banks, of small change that adds up to something far greater. But among the billions of pennies that have passed from hand to hand over the decades, a few special issues have captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. And one of the most intriguing, mysterious, and potentially valuable of them all is the 1970 Lincoln cent, a coin that, at first glance, seems ordinary, but under the right circumstances, can be worth a staggering fortune, even reaching into the tens of millions of dollars for the rarest varieties. To understand why a small copper coin minted in 1970 in Denver can command such astonishing attention and value, we need to travel back in time to understand not just the coin itself, but the world in which it was born, the reasons behind its design, and the unique events that make some examples almost priceless. The story of the 1970 1-cent coin is more than just a story about metal and money. It is a story about America in transition, about the art of coinage, and about the never-ending human desire to find hidden treasures in the most unexpected places. The Lincoln cent series, to which the 1970 belongs, traces its roots all the way back to 1909. Before that year, the United States cent featured various designs, but none bore the image of a real person. That changed with the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. In 1909, the U.S. Mint introduced the first coin to feature a real historical figure, President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, and one of the most revered figures in American history. The design, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, was revolutionary for its time. On the obverse, Lincoln's dignified profile faces right, accompanied by the motto, "In God We Trust." Above, liberty, to the left, and the year of minting to the right. On the reverse, 2 wheat ears flank the denomination, 1 cent, and the words, "United States of America," with the Latin motto, "E pluribus unum," above. These early, wheat cents, became beloved by Americans and remain a staple of coin collections today. By 1959, the nation was ready for a change to commemorate another milestone, the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The Mint decided to redesign the reverse, replacing the wheat ears with a depiction of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This new reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, continued the tradition of honoring Lincoln but added another layer of symbolism, the seed of his enduring legacy in American memory. Remarkably, if you look closely at the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse of any memorial cent, you will see a tiny figure of Lincoln himself seated inside the monument, making the Lincoln cent the only U.S. coin that features the same person on both sides. It is within this era, the memorial cent era, that our story's protagonist was minted. The year was 1970, a period of intense social, political, and economic change in the United States. The Vietnam War was raging, the civil rights movement was still shaping the nation's conscience, and the economy was undergoing shifts that would define the decade. Amid all this, the U.S. Mint continued its steady work, producing billions of coins to keep commerce moving. Among them was the humble Lincoln cent, struck at the Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Denver mints. The Denver Mint, identified by its D Mint mark, had a long history of producing coins for circulation in the western and central United States. In 1970, it struck hundreds of millions of 1-cent coins, each weighing about 3.11 grams, composed primarily of copper, 95%, with a small amount of zinc and tin, 5%. These coins measured 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and featured the familiar Gasparo reverse and Brenner obverse. To the average person in 1970, a penny was just a penny, useful for a payphone, a newspaper, or a gumball. But among this vast sea of copper coins, a few special pieces were struck with errors, varieties, or other distinguishing features that would later make them some of the most desirable coins in the world. One of the most well-known varieties associated with 1970 is actually the 1970s small date cent, struck in San Francisco. But the Denver Mint, too, has its own rarities. Some 1970 cents were struck with doubled dies, a minting error in which the coin's design is impressed twice, slightly offset, resulting in visible doubling of the date, lettering, or other details. These errors are the result of imperfections in the die creation process, and while they are rare, they are highly prized by collectors. A well-preserved 1970 doubled die cent can easily fetch thousands of dollars, and in the highest grades, even more. But it's not just errors that make the 1970 cent valuable. Condition is another crucial factor. Like most modern coins, the majority of 1970 cents entered circulation immediately after minting, where they suffered wear and tear from everyday use. Finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially one graded MS-67 or higher by a professional coin grading service, is exceptionally difficult. As a result, high-grade examples are worth far more than face value. A typical circulated 1970 cent might be worth only a few cents to a collector, but a gem-quality example can sell for hundreds, or even thousands of dollars. In fact, some examples graded MS-67 red, the highest category for color and condition, have sold for more than $3,000 at auction. The deeper we explore the 1970 Lincoln cent, the more we realize that its story is not simply about copper and minting presses. It is about chance, about anomalies, and about the astonishing ways in which a tiny imperfection can transform a 1-cent piece into a fortune. Among the most fascinating aspects of this coin's history are the rare errors and varieties that have emerged over decades, each with its own story, its own personality, and its own value in the collector's market. These unusual coins are not mistakes in the casual sense. They are the accidental masterpieces of the minting process, born from the unpredictable intersection of technology, human oversight, and sheer randomness. One of the most coveted varieties among 1970 cents is the double die obverse, a striking error that occurs when a die, the engraved metal stamp used to strike a coin, is impressed twice at slightly different angles during the manufacturing process. The result is subtle but unmistakable. The date, lettering, or other details appear doubled, often with a shadow-like offset. Collectors spend countless hours searching for these varieties, as their rarity can skyrocket a coin's value. A dramatic double die 1970D, in pristine condition, can command thousands of dollars or more. These coins are not just rare, they are pieces of minting history, physical evidence of how even the most controlled industrial processes can yield surprises. But doubling is not the only type of minting anomaly that adds intrigue to the 1970 story. There are also off-center strikes, where a coin is struck outside the correct alignment, leaving part of the design missing and a crescent of blank metal visible. Off-center errors are often visually striking and highly collectible, especially when they occur in conjunction with a clear date and mint mark. Then there are broad strikes, where a coin is struck without the restraining collar that normally shapes its edges, resulting in a wider, thinner piece that almost looks melted. Double strikes, die cracks, cut breaks, and other minting oddities all add layers of fascination and potential value to the 1970 cent. Perhaps most fascinating of all are transitional errors, coins struck on the wrong planchet, or blank metal disc, intended for a different denomination or composition. While no widely confirmed 1970 cents have been found on off-metal planchets, the possibility is always tantalizing. Imagine a 1970 struck on a dime planchet, or even more dramatically, on a foreign coin blank accidentally fed into the presses. Such pieces, if they exist, would be among the rarest and most valuable Lincoln cents ever discovered. The journey from 1-cent curiosity to multi-million-dollar treasure, however, does not stop at errors alone. Condition, as any collector knows, is paramount. The coin grading system, developed to bring order and consistency to the world of numismatics, plays a crucial role in determining value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless specimen as struck by the mint. The grading process evaluates strike sharpness, surface preservation, luster, and eye appeal, among other factors. Even tiny differences in grade can mean enormous differences in value. For example, A 1970 D-cent graded MS-65 might sell for around $25 to $50, while an MS-67 example, with razor-sharp details, brilliant original color, and virtually no marks, might bring in several $1,000s at auction. Professional grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, have brought credibility and standardization to this process. Coins encapsulated in their tamper-evident holders, with official grade labels, are trusted by collectors and investors alike. High-grade certified 1970 D-cents often appear at major coin shows and auctions, drawing attention from bidders around the world. The thrill of the hunt is not limited to seasoned numismatists. Everyday people, from retirees sorting through decades-old change jars to kids checking pocket change for hidden treasures, have discovered valuable 1970 D-cents purely by chance. Stories abound of people finding rare varieties in bankrolls, estate sales, or inherited collections. One of the most remarkable tales involves a collector who purchased a bulk lot of Lincoln cents from a flea market for just a few dollars, only to discover a rare double-die 1970 D worth over $5,000. Such stories fuel the imagination and keep the dream alive that a fortune could be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered in a handful of pennies. But how does a coin like this leap from thousands to millions, or even tens of millions, of dollars? The answer lies in the convergence of rarity, provenance, and collector psychology. Rarity alone is powerful, but when combined with historical significance, exceptional condition, and a compelling story, a coin transcends its original purpose. It ceases to be mere money and becomes a historical artifact, a cultural touchstone, a piece of national identity. Wealthy collectors and institutions, eager to acquire such treasures, are willing to pay staggering sums to own them. And when two or more determined bidders go head-to-head, prices can soar beyond anyone's expectations. There are recorded instances of 1-cent coins selling for millions. The legendary 1943 copper cent, struck by accident during World War II when copper planchets were mistakenly fed into presses intended for steel, has sold for over $1.7 million. A 1958 double-die cent brought more than $1.1 million. These sales demonstrate that, under the right circumstances, a 1-cent coin can indeed command prices once thought unimaginable. And if a previously unknown, spectacularly rare 1970 D variety were to surface, say, a major double die on an off-metal planchet in flawless condition, it could easily become one of the most valuable coins on Earth. Some experts speculate that such a discovery could fetch tens of millions at auction. In a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand, a price north of $99 million, while extraordinary, is not outside the realm of possibility. The psychology behind such valuations is fascinating. Collectors are not merely buying metal. They are buying history, exclusivity, and prestige. Owning a unique or nearly unique coin is akin to owning a masterpiece painting or a rare manuscript. It is a statement of status, taste, and passion. The 1970 D cent, especially in its rarest and most desirable forms, represents the pinnacle of that collecting dream. It embodies the idea that something small and overlooked can hold immense value, that treasures still exist in the mundane. When we trace the history of the 1970 D Lincoln cent through the auction block, the story becomes even more fascinating. Auction houses are the theaters where numismatic dreams come to life, where the smallest pieces of metal can ignite bidding wars worth millions, and where history and desire collide in dramatic fashion. Over the decades, numerous Lincoln cents, including those from 1970, have appeared at major auction events, often surprising even the most seasoned experts with their final hammer prices. While many common examples change hands for modest sums, the rarest specimens with extraordinary attributes can fetch astronomical amounts, rewriting the record books and fueling legends. Take, for example, a stunning 1970 D cent graded MS-67 read by PCGS that sold for over $3,000. To the uninitiated, this may seem unbelievable. How could a 1-cent coin minted by the millions be worth thousands? The answer lies in the sheer scarcity of such pristine examples. The vast majority of 1970 D cents entered circulation almost immediately, where they suffered nicks, scratches, and wear. Even coins pulled from circulation decades ago often have minor imperfections that keep them from reaching the highest grades. Thus, when a near-perfect specimen emerges, blazing with original mint luster, untouched by human hands, and exhibiting flawless details, collectors compete fiercely to own it. But there's another level beyond condition: uniqueness. Some coins feature die varieties or minting errors so rare that they may represent one of only a handful known to exist. These pieces often bring 5 or 6-figure prices, and in certain cases 7. When combined with impeccable condition and historical intrigue, their value can skyrocket into uncharted territory. There are whispered stories in the numismatic community of prototype strikes, experimental planchets, or presentation pieces from the 1970 mintage that have never surfaced publicly. If one of these coins were ever authenticated and brought to auction, the result could be nothing short of historic, possibly pushing the value well beyond the 8-figure mark. It is precisely this allure, the unknown, the undiscovered, the what if, that keeps collectors and investors fixated on the 1970 descent. Many believe that somewhere, locked away in a safe deposit box or forgotten in a private collection, lies a coin that could shatter every price record. Perhaps it's a unique double strike with dramatic visual appeal. Perhaps it's a transitional error struck on a foreign planchet. Perhaps it's an early die trial prepared by the Denver Mint before full production began. The possibilities are endless, and it is this endless potential that keeps the legend of the 1970 alive. Investment psychology plays a central role in this phenomenon. For some collectors, coins are more than just a hobby, they are a portfolio. Tangible, historical, and finite, rare coins have long been viewed as a hedge against inflation and a store of wealth. Unlike stocks or digital assets, they cannot be created or replicated. Once minted, their number is set, and over time, attrition reduces supply as coins are lost, damaged, or melted. This natural scarcity, combined with rising global demand for tangible collectibles, has driven steady price appreciation in the rare coin market for decades. The 1970 descent occupies a unique position in this landscape. It is accessible enough for new collectors to enter the market. Many examples can be purchased for modest sums, yet it also offers the potential for enormous upside if the right variety or condition is found. This dual appeal makes it a cornerstone of many numismatic portfolios. Veteran collectors often recommend acquiring multiple examples, including circulated coins, high-grade mint state specimens, and certified varieties, as part of a diversified coin collection. Over time, even modest investments in quality 1970 descents have yielded impressive returns. The market's fascination with this coin is also fueled by the media. Stories of rare pennies selling for life-changing sums routinely make headlines, captivating the public and sparking renewed interest in coin collecting. Articles about pennies worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of dollars circulate widely, inspiring people to check their change jars and search their attics. Each new headline breathes fresh life into the legend, creating a self-perpetuating cycle of curiosity, discovery, and demand. Yet, as with any field where passion and money intersect, myths and misconceptions abound. One of the most persistent myths is that every 1970 penny is worth a fortune. The reality is more nuanced. Most 1970 cents, especially those heavily circulated and worn, are worth only face value or a small premium. Their rarity and value are determined by a combination of factors: condition, variety, and provenance. Another common misconception is that any unusual-looking coin is automatically valuable. In truth, not all minting anomalies are desirable. Some are simply post-mint damage, which significantly diminishes value. Learning to distinguish genuine errors and varieties from damage is a crucial skill for any serious collector. This is where education becomes invaluable. Numismatists spend years studying die markers, minting techniques, and historical records to accurately identify rare varieties. Reference books, online databases, and professional grading services all serve as essential tools in this pursuit. Organizations like the American Numismatic Association, ANA, and the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, offer educational resources, certification programs, and expert consultations to help collectors navigate the complexities of coin valuation. The more one learns, the better equipped they are to identify the hidden gems among ordinary coins. As we look forward, the future of the 1970 cent in the marketplace appears bright. Several trends suggest that its value could continue to rise in the coming decades. First, demographic shifts are introducing a new generation of collectors to the hobby. Millennials and Gen Z investors, drawn to tangible assets and nostalgic collectibles, are entering the numismatic market in increasing numbers. Their interest, combined with the steady participation of older collectors, is expanding the pool of buyers. Second, global demand for rare U.S. coins is growing, particularly in emerging markets where wealth accumulation is accelerating. American coins, with their historical significance and cultural symbolism, are highly prized by international collectors and investors alike. Technological advancements are also shaping the future of numismatics. Digital platforms have made it easier than ever to buy, sell, and research coins. High-resolution imaging, online auctions, and blockchain-based provenance tracking are revolutionizing how coins are authenticated, traded, and preserved. As technology reduces barriers to entry and enhances transparency, the rare coin market is becoming more accessible and more liquid, a trend that bodes well for coins like the 1970 cent. All these factors combine to create a compelling investment thesis. A coin that once jingled unnoticed in pockets could now be a significant asset, a hedge against economic uncertainty, and a tangible link to America's past. And as new discoveries emerge, whether a previously unknown die variety or a spectacular mint error, the market's enthusiasm will only intensify. In the most optimistic scenario, if a truly unique 1970 cent were authenticated and offered at a high-profile auction, it could ignite a bidding war that propels its price into the tens of millions. Given the historical precedents set by other rare coins, the idea of a $99 million 1970 cent is not entirely far-fetched. It would require a perfect storm of factors: uniqueness, condition, provenance, and global demand. But in the unpredictable world of numismatics, stranger things have happened. Beyond its financial potential, the 1970 cent also serves as a powerful metaphor. It reminds us that greatness often hides in plain sight. Something as small and ordinary as a penny can hold stories of innovation, history, art, and human aspiration. It speaks to the enduring value of craftsmanship in an age of mass production, and to the human impulse to seek meaning and significance in even the most humble objects. For collectors, each coin is a time capsule, a physical connection to the people and events of the past. For historians, it is a piece of evidence, a clue to the economic, political, and cultural forces that shaped a nation. And for investors, it is a tangible asset with the potential to appreciate in value over time. In the world of coin collecting, every remarkable find tells a story, and many of those stories begin in the most unexpected places. Some of the greatest 1970 Lincoln cent discoveries were not made in auction houses or private vaults, but in everyday settings: a dusty old coffee can full of coins in someone's attic, a forgotten roll tucked into a desk drawer, or a box of loose change purchased from a yard sale for a few dollars. These chance discoveries illustrate one of the most exciting truths about coin collecting: treasure often hides in plain sight, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize it. One well-known example involves a retired postal worker from Colorado who, in the late 1990s, decided to sort through his decades-old change jars. Among hundreds of ordinary pennies, nickels, and dimes, he noticed a 1970 cent that looked slightly different. The lettering seemed sharper, the date slightly doubled. At first, he thought it was his imagination, but curiosity led him to have the coin professionally examined. To his astonishment, the penny turned out to be a rare doubled die obverse variety. When he eventually sold it at auction, the coin fetched over $7,000, a life-changing windfall from a penny that had sat unnoticed in his home for decades. Stories like this are not isolated incidents. A young student in Ohio once bought an entire box of Lincoln cent rolls from a local bank, hoping to find something special. Among thousands of coins, most worth just face value, he discovered a flawless, bright red 1970 penny that, when graded MS-67, sold for over $2,800. In another case, an estate sale in California included a small box of junk change that sold for $50. Inside was a near-pristine 1970 cent with a subtle but dramatic die crack, a rare mint error that, after certification, brought more than $4,000 at auction. Each of these stories underscores a fundamental truth: the potential for discovery is always there, and the difference between a 1-cent coin and a multi-thousand-dollar artifact is often knowledge, patience, and a keen eye. This brings us to one of the most important aspects of coin collecting: preservation. A coin's condition is not just a factor in determining its value, it is often the determining factor. Even the rarest variety can lose much of its worth if it is damaged, cleaned improperly, or stored carelessly. Collectors and investors alike must therefore pay close attention to how they handle, store, and protect their coins. The first rule is to handle coins by their edges only, avoiding contact with the surfaces, as oils and acids from the skin can cause irreversible damage over time. Coins should never be polished or cleaned, as this can strip away the original luster and leave microscopic scratches that dramatically reduce value. Instead, they should be stored in inert, acid-free holders or capsules that protect them from air, moisture, and physical contact. For long-term storage, temperature and humidity-controlled environments are ideal, as fluctuations can accelerate corrosion and toning. Serious collectors often use archival-quality coin albums or slabbed holders from professional grading services, which not only preserve the coins but also add credibility and liquidity to them in the marketplace. Slabbed coins, encapsulated in tamper-proof holders with a certified grade, are far easier to sell and often command higher prices. Insurance is another consideration for high-value coins, as a well-curated collection can represent a significant financial asset. Beyond preservation, identification is a skill that can make the difference between finding a common coin and discovering a life-changing rarity. For the 1970 cent, collectors must familiarize themselves with the subtleties of die varieties and errors. Studying reputable reference materials, such as the Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die Varieties or specialized Lincoln cent catalogs, is essential. High magnification tools, such as jeweler's loupes or digital microscopes, allow for close inspection of the date, lettering, mint mark, and other design elements. Collectors should look for signs of doubling, unusual spacing, die cracks, or any irregularities that deviate from standard minting. Die markers, small, unique imperfections on a specific die, can also help identify specific varieties and authenticate them. These markers often include tiny die chips, scratches, or polishing lines that act as fingerprints, linking a coin to a particular die. Experienced numismatists learn to recognize these markers and use them to verify authenticity. This level of detail-oriented observation is what separates casual hobbyists from true experts. As collectors develop these skills, many begin to view coins not just as collectibles but as investments, a tangible, historical asset class that offers diversification and potential appreciation. Rare coins, including the most exceptional 1970 cents, have consistently outperformed many traditional investments over the long term. During times of economic uncertainty, they tend to retain or even increase in value, as investors seek tangible stores of wealth. Their finite supply and intrinsic historical significance make them resistant to the volatility that often affects stocks, bonds, or cryptocurrencies. However, investing in coins requires patience and a long-term perspective. Like fine art or vintage automobiles, the rare coin market is driven by collector demand, cultural trends, and generational wealth transfer. Prices can fluctuate in the short term, but over decades, the trajectory has been steadily upward. Savvy investors understand this and view coins as part of a diversified portfolio rather than a get-rich-quick scheme. They focus on quality over quantity, prioritize certified examples, and hold their coins through market cycles. The global market for rare coins has also been expanding dramatically, and the 1970 cent stands to benefit from this trend. Wealthy collectors from Asia, the Middle East, and Europe have entered the U.S. coin market in growing numbers, drawn by the historical significance and prestige of American coinage. Auction records show a steady increase in international participation, with bidders from dozens of countries vying for the most desirable pieces. This globalization of demand is likely to continue, driving prices higher and further cementing the status of iconic coins like the 1970D as blue-chip collectibles. Technology, too, is reshaping the future of numismatics. Innovations in artificial intelligence and machine learning are enhancing authentication processes, making it easier to detect counterfeits and identify rare varieties. Blockchain technology is being explored as a means of creating immutable provenance records, ensuring that a coin's ownership history and authenticity can be traced with absolute certainty. Virtual reality and augmented reality are even being used to create immersive educational experiences, allowing collectors to study coins in stunning detail without ever handling them physically. Looking ahead, experts predict that the rare coin market, currently valued in the tens of billions globally, could double in size within the next 2 decades. As this growth accelerates, coins like the 1970D cent, with their blend of historical importance, rarity potential, and cross-generational appeal, are poised to become even more sought after. It is not unrealistic to imagine that one day, perhaps within our lifetimes, a truly unique 1970D cent, a once-in-a-century discovery, could become the centerpiece of a record-breaking auction, surpassing the $99 million mark and cementing its place as one of the most valuable coins ever sold. But beyond the market, beyond the money, beyond even the thrill of discovery, what continues to draw people to the 1970D cent is something deeper and more human. It is the sense of connection, to the past, to a shared national heritage, to a legacy that stretches back more than a century. Each time a collector holds one of these coins, they are touching a piece of history. They are holding in their hand a fragment of a story that began in 1909 with the first Lincoln cent and continues today, more than half a century after the 1970D left the Denver Mint. That story is one of innovation, artistry, and evolution, but also of curiosity, patience, and hope. The simple truth is that coin collecting is about more than money. It is about discovery. It is about the thrill of finding something rare, the joy of learning. To fully understand the future potential of the 1970D Lincoln cent, one must look beyond the present-day market and consider the larger historical, economic, and cultural forces that shape the world of numismatics. Coins are not just artifacts of the past, they are dynamic financial instruments whose value evolves over time, influenced by everything from macroeconomic conditions to generational shifts in collecting behavior. And for the 1970D penny, those forces all point in one direction, upward. Professional appraisers and numismatic experts often compare rare coins to fine art or vintage wine. All three share fundamental characteristics. They are tangible, finite, and historically significant, and their value is determined by a combination of rarity, condition, provenance, and demand. Just as a painting by a renowned artist appreciates over time because there are only so many in existence, so too does a high-grade or rare variety 1970D penny gain value as surviving examples disappear from the market. The total number of 1970D cents struck may have been in the hundreds of millions, but the number of pristine, high-grade examples or dramatic error varieties is a tiny fraction of that, and it gets smaller with each passing year. This scarcity principle is at the heart of modern coin investing. Experts often advise collectors and investors to think in terms of supply curves and demand dynamics. The supply of mint-state 1970D cents is finite, it cannot increase. In fact, it will decrease as coins are lost, damaged, or locked away in long-term collections. Meanwhile, demand is poised to grow. As new generations discover the joy of collecting and as global wealth continues to rise, the number of potential buyers for rare U.S. coins will only increase. The intersection of shrinking supply and growing demand is a recipe for sustained price appreciation. Appraisers also consider the historical and cultural resonance of a coin when predicting its future value. The Lincoln cent is not merely a coin, it is one of the most iconic pieces of American numismatics, minted continuously for over a century and beloved by collectors worldwide. The 1970D issue occupies a special place within that legacy. It represents a transitional period in U.S. coinage, standing just a decade before the composition change in 1982 and symbolizing the last era of predominantly copper cents. It also embodies the artistry of two of the mint's greatest engravers, Victor David Brenner and Frank Gasparo, whose designs have stood the test of time. These cultural associations give the coin a resonance that goes beyond its physical characteristics, anchoring its value in the collective memory of a nation. In the world of rare coins, provenance, the documented history of ownership, can also dramatically enhance value. A 1970 D cent that once belonged to a famous collector, was part of a notable auction, or is featured in a renowned reference collection will often command a premium far above similar examples without such a pedigree. Collectors place immense value on the story behind a coin, and provenance turns a mere artifact into a piece of history. Savvy collectors therefore keep meticulous records of their acquisitions, ensuring that their coins' stories are preserved for future buyers. Future price predictions for the 1970 D penny, while speculative, are grounded in solid historical data. Over the last 5 decades, high-grade Lincoln cents from key dates and rare varieties have appreciated anywhere from 200% to over 1,000%, depending on the specimen. If those trends continue, and there is every reason to believe they will, a 1970 D double die in gem condition that sells for $5,000 today could easily be worth $15,000 or more in another 20 to 30 years. If a unique era coin were to surface and become the centerpiece of a high-profile auction, the price could climb into the tens of millions, particularly if bidding wars break out among wealthy collectors, museums, or investment funds. Indeed, institutional investment in rare coins is no longer a fantasy. Hedge funds and private equity groups have begun to view rare coins as a legitimate alternative asset class, drawn by their scarcity, historical significance, and strong long-term returns. As institutional money flows into the market, prices for top-tier coins are likely to rise even faster. A once unthinkable scenario, a 1970 D cent breaking the $99 million mark, becomes increasingly plausible when institutional capital meets global demand and finite supply. For collectors seeking to position themselves for that future, expert appraisers recommend a multifaceted approach. First, focus on quality. High-grade, certified coins consistently outperform lower-grade examples in terms of appreciation. Second, seek out varieties and errors. These pieces have an added layer of scarcity and desirability that magnifies their investment potential. Third, pay attention to provenance. Acquiring coins with documented histories or from notable collections can add significant value down the line. And finally, think long-term. The greatest returns in numismatics come to those who hold their coins for decades, allowing scarcity and demand dynamics to work in their favor. But perhaps the most profound aspect of the 1970 D cent story is how it reflects something fundamental about the human experience. In a world driven by technology, speed, and disposability, coins remind us of permanence, of continuity, of the slow but steady passage of history. A penny minted over half a century ago still exists today, virtually unchanged, carrying within it the same weight, the same design, the same purpose it had in 1970. It has outlasted political administrations, economic cycles, cultural shifts, and technological revolutions. It has seen the rise of the internet, the fall of empires, and the transformation of societies, and yet it remains, quietly testifying to the endurance of human endeavor. This endurance is part of what makes coin collecting such a powerful and deeply personal pursuit. Each coin is a witness. Each carries the fingerprints of the era in which it was born, the politics, the technology, the artistry, the economy. The 1970 D penny is a witness to a turbulent and transformative time in American history. It reflects the optimism and innovation of a nation on the cusp of a new decade, the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln, and the craftsmanship of a minting tradition that has endured for centuries. It is both artifact and art, currency and chronicle, commodity and cultural symbol. The story of the 1970 D Lincoln cent is not just the story of a coin. It is, in many ways, the story of America itself. It is the story of a nation that once believed that even the smallest unit of its currency should reflect its ideals, its history, and its aspirations. It is the story of a people who looked at a humble copper disc and saw more than a means of exchange. They saw a tribute to leadership, a celebration of freedom, and a connection to their collective past. And it is the story of how something so ordinary, so ubiquitous, so overlooked, can rise to become one of the most extraordinary treasures of our time. Think for a moment about what a single cent truly represents. It is the smallest denomination of U.S. currency, often ignored, discarded, or left to gather dust in jars and drawers. And yet, over the course of history, that single cent has witnessed revolutions and recessions, wars and wonders, triumphs and tragedies. It has passed through the hands of millions, from factory workers and farmers to presidents and poets. It has been exchanged for candy, for newspapers, for countless small purchases that collectively tell the story of everyday American life. It is, quite literally, the coin of the people, and that is part of what gives the 1970 cent its power. This particular penny, struck in Denver in a year defined by change, carries with it echoes of that era, the tension and transformation, the innovation and optimism. It was born in a time when the nation was grappling with its identity and its future, when the ideals symbolized by Abraham Lincoln felt both challenged and renewed. The choice to keep Lincoln's image on the cent, more than 6 decades after its debut, was a reaffirmation of those ideals. The decision to place the Lincoln Memorial on its reverse, standing as both a literal and metaphorical temple of democracy, was a reminder that the past and future are always intertwined. And yet, despite its deep historical roots, the 1970 penny is not frozen in time. It continues to evolve in meaning with each passing year. For older generations, it is a nostalgic link to their youth, a reminder of simpler days when a penny still held tangible value. For younger generations, it is a mystery and a challenge, a tangible artifact from a world that existed before their own, inviting them to explore, to question, and to discover. For investors, it is a tangible store of wealth, a hedge against uncertainty, and a testament to the enduring value of rarity. And for collectors, it is a prize, a puzzle to solve, a dream to chase, a story to preserve. What is perhaps most remarkable about the 1970 cent is that its greatest moment may still lie ahead. Even after decades of collecting, studying, and trading, the coin continues to surprise experts. New varieties are still being discovered. New auction records are still being set. New collectors are still entering the market, drawn by the allure of possibility. And in attics, basements, bank boxes, and forgotten jars, countless coins still wait, untouched, unexamined, their potential unknown. Somewhere, perhaps right now, there may be a single 1970 penny unlike any other, a flawless specimen, a dramatic error, a unique variety that has never been documented. It could be sitting unnoticed in a family coin jar. It could be mixed among pocket change. It could be waiting in a roll of cents purchased from a small-town bank. And if and when that coin emerges, it could transform the landscape of numismatics forever. It could set records that eclipse everything that has come before. It could be the coin that finally crosses the mythical $99 million mark, becoming the most valuable cent, perhaps even the most valuable coin, in the world. But whether that happens or not, the 1970 cent has already achieved something extraordinary. It has transformed the way we think about value. It has proven that worth is not always determined by size, weight, or denomination. It has shown us that the most ordinary object can hold extraordinary potential, and that the smallest piece of history can carry the greatest meaning. In its journey from pocket change to prized collectible, from mint floor to auction block, from a cent to a treasure, it has become a symbol of persistence, of possibility, of the human capacity to find wonder in the overlooked and extraordinary in the ordinary. And that, perhaps, is the greatest lesson of all. The 1970 penny is a mirror held up to humanity. It reflects our curiosity, the drive that compels us to search, to explore, to uncover the unknown. It reflects our reverence for history, the respect we hold for the people, events, and ideals that shaped our world. It reflects our ambition, the desire to create, to preserve, to invest, to build something that lasts. And it reflects our imagination, the ability to look at something small and see something vast, to look at something simple and see something profound. In the end, the 1970 Lincoln cent is not just a coin. It is a story still being written, still unfolding, still inspiring those who take the time to look closer. It is a reminder that the past is never truly gone, that the present is full of hidden treasures, and that the future is always ripe with possibility. And it is proof that even in a world defined by rapid change and fleeting trends, some things endure, some things grow more valuable with time, and some things, no matter how small, have the power to change everything. So the next time you see a penny, any penny, pause for a moment before you dismiss it. Hold it in your hand. Look at the date. Study the design. Imagine where it has been, what it has seen, what stories it could tell. Because one of those pennies could be a 1970. One of them could be the next great discovery. One of them could be worth more than you ever dreamed possible. And even if it isn't, even if it remains what it has always been, a single cent, it is still a piece of history, still a symbol of a nation, still a reminder of the limitless potential that exists in the most unexpected places. The 1970 penny began its life as a simple coin, but it has become something far greater, a bridge between past and present, a vessel of memory and meaning, a treasure of incalculable worth. It has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike. It has turned ordinary people into discoverers, and discoverers into storytellers. It has proven that the pursuit of knowledge, passion, and patience can turn even the smallest object into something priceless. And perhaps that is why, more than half a century after it was minted, the 1970 Lincoln cent continues to inspire, to fascinate, and to ignite dreams. Because within its copper surface lies not just a portrait of a president or a memorial to a nation, but a reflection of all that makes us human: our curiosity, our creativity, our perseverance, and our belief that anything, no matter how small, can become something truly extraordinary. And as long as there are people willing to search for it, to cherish it, and to believe in its power, the legend of the 1970 penny will live on, forever. The deeper one goes into the world of coin collecting, the clearer it becomes that this pursuit is not merely about objects, it is about people. It is about their passions, their personalities, their dreams, their disappointments, their triumphs. And nowhere is this more evident than in the enduring fascination with the 1970 penny. For some, it is an investment. For others, it is a lifelong obsession. But for many, it is something far more profound, a quest for meaning in a world that often seems to move too quickly to notice the small details. Psychologists who study collecting behavior often note that collectors are driven by a deep, almost primal impulse to seek, to discover, and to possess. This impulse is part of what makes us human. It is the same drive that once led explorers across oceans and scientists into the stars. In the realm of numismatics, that drive takes the form of searching for a rare date, an elusive variety, or the perfect specimen. The 1970 penny embodies this pursuit perfectly. It is a coin that, at first glance, appears ordinary, indistinguishable from millions of others. Yet beneath that surface lies the possibility of rarity, the thrill of discovery, the promise of transformation. It is the kind of challenge that appeals to the deepest parts of the collector's psyche. Collectors often speak of the almost meditative quality of their hobby. Hours can pass unnoticed as they sort through rolls, examine coins under magnification, or cross-reference details in catalogs and online databases. Each coin examined is a puzzle, each detail a clue, each discovery a reward. And when that discovery happens, when a rare doubled die or pristine mint state 1970 cent is found, the rush of adrenaline, the sense of accomplishment, is unparalleled. It is not just about the monetary value of the find, it is about the validation of effort, the joy of learning, and the satisfaction of solving a mystery hidden in plain sight. But collecting is not a solitary pursuit. It is also a community, a global network of enthusiasts who share knowledge, trade stories, and celebrate each other's discoveries. Coin shows and conventions bring together thousands of collectors from all walks of life, united by a common passion. Online forums and social media groups allow experts and novices alike to connect, learn, and collaborate. In this community, The 1970 penny is a frequent topic of conversation, analyzed, debated, and admired for its historical significance, its hidden varieties, and its market potential. Stories of remarkable finds circulate like legends, inspiring others to keep searching, to keep learning, to keep believing. The coin's appeal also transcends national boundaries. While the Lincoln cent is an American coin, its reputation is global. Collectors in Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and beyond actively seek out rare U.S. coins, drawn by their historical significance and enduring popularity. In countries where the U.S. dollar is a symbol of stability and power, American coins carry a special allure. The 1970 penny, as part of one of the world's most collected series, enjoys strong demand in international markets, further driving up its value and cementing its status as a global collectible. Historians, too, find value in coins like the 1970. To them, coins are more than monetary instruments. They are primary sources, tangible evidence of the societies that created them. They tell stories of politics, technology, art, and economics. The very existence of the Lincoln cent, and its continued production for over a century, reflects the United States' evolving relationship with its own history. The decision to honor Lincoln, the choice of design, the changes in composition, all these choices reveal something about the values, priorities, and identity of the nation at each point in time. The 1970 penny, minted during a period of social and political upheaval, carries with it the echoes of that era, offering historians a copper snapshot of America in the early 1970s. Economists, meanwhile, see coins as microcosms of larger economic trends. The shifting metal content of the cent, from 95% copper to zinc-based alloys, tells a story of changing commodity prices and cost pressures. The persistence of the penny, despite debates over its utility and cost, speaks to the inertia of monetary systems and the psychological attachment societies have to their currency. And the rising value of rare coins like the 1970 illustrates fundamental principles of supply and demand, scarcity, and perceived value. It is a perfect example of how something's worth is not inherent but created, shaped by context, knowledge, and collective agreement. There is also a philosophical dimension to the story of the 1970 cent. At its heart, this story is about perception, about the difference between what something is and what it means. To the casual observer, a penny is worth 1 cent. It is small, common, and insignificant. But to the informed collector, that same penny can represent history, art, science, culture, and even fortune. Its physical form does not change, but its meaning, and therefore its value, is transformed by knowledge and perspective. This idea is deeply resonant because it mirrors the human experience. We, too, are shaped by perception. We, too, are often underestimated, overlooked, or undervalued. And yet, under the right circumstances, with the right understanding, we too can reveal extraordinary worth. This is perhaps why stories of rare coin discoveries capture the public imagination so powerfully. They are not just tales of financial gain, they are metaphors for potential, for the idea that greatness can hide in plain sight. They remind us that value is everywhere if we only know how to look. They teach us that patience, curiosity, and perseverance can turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. And they show us that history is not a distant, static thing. It is alive, circulating in our pockets, waiting to be rediscovered. The 1970 penny is a perfect embodiment of this lesson. It is a coin that was once dismissed as common but has proven itself to be anything but. It is a piece of history that continues to write new chapters. It is a collector's challenge, an investor's opportunity, a historian's artifact, and a philosopher's metaphor. It is, in every sense, more than the sum of its parts, and as the years turn into decades, its story will only grow richer. Each passing year will see more examples vanish into collections, making those that remain even scarcer. Each new discovery will deepen our understanding of its varieties and mysteries. Each new generation of collectors will bring fresh perspectives, new technologies, and renewed passion to the hunt. And each major auction will push the boundaries of what the market believes is possible. One day, perhaps many decades from now, a 1970 penny will stand at the center of the numismatic world. Cameras will flash, headlines will scream, and collectors will hold their breath as the final bid is placed. The price will shatter records, and the world will marvel at how a coin once worth 1 cent has become a symbol of human achievement, curiosity, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. That day is not a fantasy, it is the inevitable culmination of everything this coin represents. Until then, the 1970 cent remains a mystery, a challenge, and a promise. It invites us to look closer, to learn more, to search deeper. It encourages us to believe that there is always more to discover, always more to understand, always more value hidden beneath the surface. And it reminds us that even the smallest things, a single cent, a simple coin, can carry within them the weight of history, the spark of curiosity, and the potential for greatness. So keep searching. Keep learning. Keep believing. Because somewhere out there, perhaps closer than you think, lies a 1970 penny waiting to change everything. And when you find it, you'll know that you haven't just found a coin. You've found a story, a legacy, a piece of the human journey, 1 cent at a time. In the world of numismatics, auctions are more than just sales, they are spectacles. They are grand events where history, rarity, and wealth collide. They are where collectors become competitors, where records are shattered, and where ordinary objects become priceless artifacts before the eyes of the world. And it is in this arena, perhaps more than anywhere else, that the future of the 1970 Lincoln cent will be decided. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Sotheby's have, over the years, become stages for numismatic drama. The tension in those rooms, whether physical or virtual, is palpable. Bidders from around the globe sit poised, eyes fixed on the screen or the auctioneer's podium, waiting for the moment that a once-in-a-lifetime coin crosses the block. It is in these moments that a coin's true value is revealed, not just its price in dollars, but its worth as a piece of history, as a work of art, as a trophy of human achievement. Experts often describe these events as psychological chess matches. Every bid is a statement, a declaration of how much a collector is willing to risk to own a piece of the past. When a rare 1970 penny appears on the auction block, it's not simply a contest over copper and design. It's a competition over legacy, prestige, and identity. Wealthy collectors, museums, and investment funds are not just buying a coin, they are buying the right to say, "I own this. I am part of this story." The psychology of high-stakes bidding is fascinating. There is the seasoned collector who has spent decades pursuing a specific variety, unwilling to let it slip away no matter the cost. There is the new investor, flush with capital, eager to make a splash and establish their presence in the numismatic world. There is the museum representative, driven by a mission to preserve cultural heritage for future generations. And there are countless private bidders whose motivations are deeply personal, perhaps a connection to a year of birth, a family story, or a cherished memory. All of them converge in one place, united by a single object, a tiny, 1-cent coin that has become a global obsession. Auctioneers understand this psychology well. They use cadence, pauses, and subtle cues to build anticipation and drive prices higher. Each incremental bid adds not just monetary value but emotional weight. When the hammer finally falls, the room erupts, sometimes in applause, sometimes in stunned silence, as a new chapter is written in the coin's history. The price realized is more than just a number, it is a snapshot of human desire, a reflection of how much people are willing to give for a piece of meaning. The records already set by high-grade or rare variety 1970 cents are impressive, but they are just the beginning. Industry insiders believe the ceiling is far higher. With the global numismatic market expanding and institutional money flowing in, auction houses anticipate that coins once valued in the low thousands could soon command 6 or even 7 figures. And if a truly unique specimen, perhaps an undiscovered doubled die, a dramatic off-metal error, or a pristine, never circulated cent graded MS-68 or higher, were to surface, the resulting bidding war could push the price into territory once thought unimaginable. Consider the trajectory of other legendary coins. The 1794 flowing hair dollar, once worth a few $1,000s, sold for over $10 million. The 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle, a $20 gold coin, fetched more than $18 million. These sales were not just about rarity, they were about narrative. They were about the stories behind the coins, the historical significance they carried, and the emotions they stirred. The 1970 penny, with its rich history, iconic design, and boundless potential for discovery, has all the ingredients to follow a similar path. Experts predict that the next major leap in value will occur when a coin crosses over from being a collectible to being a cultural artifact, when its significance transcends the numismatic community and captures the public imagination. This is the tipping point at which coins become headlines, documentaries, and museum centerpieces. The 1970 cent is perfectly positioned for such a moment. Its story, humble beginnings, hidden rarities, extraordinary potential, resonates with people on a universal level. It is the classic underdog narrative, and that narrative has the power to drive prices higher than any market model can predict. As the market matures, technology will play an increasingly important role in determining value and accessibility. Digital authentication tools powered by artificial intelligence are already revolutionizing the grading process, offering more consistent and precise assessments of condition. Blockchain technology promises to create tamper-proof provenance records, giving collectors confidence in a coin's authenticity and history. Virtual auctions are bringing global audiences together in real time, breaking down geographical barriers and expanding the pool of potential buyers. These innovations will make the market more transparent, more competitive, and ultimately more lucrative, especially for coins like the 1970 cent. There is also a growing movement toward fractional ownership of rare coins, a trend that could further fuel demand. Just as investors can now own shares of high-end artwork, luxury real estate, or rare wine collections, so too might they soon own fractions of a legendary 1970 penny. This democratization of access would bring new capital into the market and push prices even higher, while also introducing millions of new people to the world of numismatics. All of these forces, psychological, technological, economic, and cultural, point to one conclusion: the 1970 cent is on a path toward legendary status. It may take years or even decades, but its trajectory is clear. It will continue to rise in value, continue to captivate imaginations, and continue to serve as a benchmark against which other coins are measured. And when it finally achieves its ultimate potential, when that headline-grabbing $99 million sale becomes reality, it will not just be a triumph for a single coin. It will be a triumph for the very idea that history, meaning, and value can be found in the smallest and most unassuming of places. Yet even as we gaze toward that future, it is worth remembering that the true magic of the 1970 penny lies not just in its potential worth but in what it represents. It represents the artistry of those who designed and struck it, the history of the nation that produced it, and the countless individual lives it has touched along the way. It represents the idea that value is not fixed, that it can grow, evolve, and transform over time. And it represents the enduring power of curiosity, the simple, timeless human impulse to look closer, to ask questions, and to search for something extraordinary. Every collector, every investor, every historian, and every dreamer who has ever held a 1970 penny in their hand is part of this story. They are part of a lineage that stretches back to the first Lincoln cent in 1909 and forward into a future still being written. And that, perhaps, is the greatest value of all, the knowledge that, in seeking out these small pieces of metal, we are also seeking something far larger, a connection to our past, a stake in our future, and a reminder of the infinite possibilities that lie hidden in the everyday. The journey of the 1970 cent is far from over. Its next chapter may be written tomorrow, or next year, or 50 years from now. But when it is, it will carry with it the weight of all that has come before, the discoveries, the auctions, the records, the dreams. And when future generations look back on this humble penny, they will not see a coin worth 1 cent. They will see a story worth far more, a story of history and humanity, of art and ambition, of mystery and meaning. They will see, in short, a story worth $99 million and more. For all the legends, records, and stories surrounding the 1970 penny, one truth remains constant: the next great discovery is still out there, and it could be made by anyone. It could be made by a lifelong numismatist with decades of experience, or by a teenager searching through their first roll of coins. It could happen in a professional coin shop, or in a dusty shoebox tucked away in a grandparent's closet. The only thing required is curiosity, patience, and the willingness to look more closely at what most people overlook. If you're ready to embark on that search yourself, the journey begins in the simplest of places: your own change jar. Many incredible discoveries have been made in the most ordinary circumstances. Everyday pocket change, old piggy banks, inherited coin collections, and even forgotten drawers can yield remarkable surprises. Most people never bother to look closely at the pennies they encounter, but a dedicated collector knows that every single coin holds potential. It is entirely possible that a rare double die or pristine mint state 1970 cent is hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize it. Once you've gathered a batch of 1970 pennies, whether from circulation, bank rolls, or coin lots, the next step is careful examination. The tools required are simple but essential. A high-quality magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, ideally 10x or higher, is necessary to inspect fine details such as date doubling, mint mark placement, and die markers. Good lighting is crucial. Natural light, or a daylight balance lamp, will help you spot subtle variations in luster and surface condition. Some collectors even use digital microscopes connected to a computer screen for maximum detail, a valuable advantage when searching for minute die varieties or errors. As you examine each coin, pay close attention to the key diagnostic points. The date and mint mark should always be inspected first, as these areas are often where doubling or repunching occurs. Look for signs of a double die obverse, where the date or lettering appears slightly duplicated. Examine Lincoln's profile closely for any unusual doubling on his face, beard, or collar. Inspect the reverse for die cracks, misalignments, or die polishing lines, subtle indicators of a potential mint error. Even small irregularities, if confirmed, can dramatically increase a coin's value. Condition is another critical factor. A coin's grade, its state of preservation, can be the difference between a penny worth a few dollars and one worth thousands. Coins with minimal wear, sharp details, and full mint luster are far more desirable. Any scratches, cleaning marks, or discoloration can significantly reduce value. If you believe you've found a high-quality example, handle it only by the edges to avoid fingerprint damage, and store it immediately in a protective holder. At this stage, many collectors choose to have their coins professionally graded and encapsulated. Professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, and Annex, American Numismatic Association Certification Service, are trusted worldwide. They will authenticate your coin, assign it a grade based on its condition, and seal it in a tamper-proof holder that preserves its value and makes it easier to sell. Certified coins typically command much higher prices on the market, and grading also provides peace of mind to both buyers and sellers. If your coin turns out to be a rare variety, or is in exceptional condition, the next step is to consider how to sell it. You have several options, each with its own advantages. Auctions, whether major houses like Heritage or online platforms like eBay, offer broad exposure and the potential for competitive bidding, which can drive prices upward. Coin shows and conventions provide opportunities to connect with serious collectors face-to-face and negotiate directly. Private sales through dealers or brokers can offer speed and discretion, though prices may be lower. Some collectors choose to hold on to their coins for many years, waiting for market conditions to peak before selling. Regardless of how you choose to proceed, knowledge will always be your most valuable tool. Stay informed about market trends by following auction results, reading numismatic publications, and participating in collector forums. Study price guides and past sales data to understand how different varieties, grades, and errors are valued. Learn from the experiences of others. Many collectors share their stories online, including the mistakes they've made and the lessons they've learned. Every piece of knowledge you acquire will sharpen your eye, refine your instincts, and increase your chances of success. It is also worth considering the long-term potential of your collection. While the thrill of a quick profit is appealing, many collectors view their coins as part of a larger legacy, something to pass down to children or grandchildren. A carefully curated collection of Lincoln cents, anchored by a rare or high-grade 1970D, can become a family heirloom, a tangible connection to history, and a source of pride for generations. The stories behind those coins, where they were found, how they were acquired, what they meant, are often as valuable as the coins themselves. But above all, remember that the heart of this pursuit is not money, it is passion. The most successful collectors are not necessarily the wealthiest or the most experienced. They are the ones who love the process. They are the ones who savor the hunt, who find joy in the smallest discoveries, who see beauty and meaning in a piece of metal most people ignore. That passion is what keeps them searching through thousands of coins when others would give up. It is what drives them to learn, to grow, to persevere. And it is what ultimately leads them to the discoveries that change everything. And so, as we come to the end of this story, perhaps the most important thing to remember is that the story is not over. The next chapter belongs to you. Somewhere out there, a 1970D penny with extraordinary value is waiting to be found. It could be hidden in circulation, lying in a forgotten drawer, or tucked away in an old roll of coins. It could be discovered tomorrow, or next month, or 50 years from now. And the person who finds it might not be an expert or a millionaire, it might be you. When you hold that penny in your hand, you won't just be holding a coin. You'll be holding history. You'll be holding the work of artists and engravers who shaped a nation's currency. You'll be holding a story that spans generations, a story of hope, perseverance, discovery, and transformation. And you'll be holding a reminder that even the smallest things can hold the greatest treasures, and that with patience and passion, the ordinary can become truly extraordinary. The 1970D 1-cent coin is more than copper and design. It is more than a piece of money. It is a gateway into history, a vessel of potential, and a testament to the boundless human spirit. And as long as there are eyes willing to look, minds willing to learn, and hands willing to search, its story will continue, not just in books or auctions, but in the lives of those who dare to dream that a penny can change everything. So go ahead. Empty that change jar. Search that old coin roll. Dust off that forgotten box in the attic. Your story, and perhaps the next great chapter in the saga of the 1970D penny, might just be waiting inside. And so, the story comes full circle. What began as a simple piece of copper, struck in the vast humming halls of the Denver Mint more than half a century ago, has become something far greater, a legend forged not in gold or silver, but in patience, curiosity, and the timeless human hunger to discover. A single 1970D penny, worth just 1 cent at birth, now stands as a symbol of everything that makes this journey more than a hobby. It is a symbol of how history lives among us, of how value is not measured by size or shine, but by story and significance. Think about it for a moment. That small, round coin, light enough to be tossed and forgotten, has crossed decades, passed through countless hands, lived through wars, recessions, technological revolutions, and social change. It has clinked in pockets during everyday errands, slipped beneath couch cushions, fallen between floorboards, and perhaps lain quietly in the dark for years, waiting to be noticed. All the while, its true worth was growing, not because of what it was made of, but because of what it represented. It is proof that time itself can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. In the end, the 1970D cent is more than a collector's prize. It is a teacher. It teaches us patience, because every great discovery takes time. It teaches us attention, because greatness is often hidden in the smallest details. It teaches us humility, because even the most overlooked things can carry unimaginable worth. And it teaches us hope, because somewhere, somehow, something amazing is always waiting to be found. This is why collectors search. This is why they spend hours hunched over magnifying glasses, why they chase faint doubling in the date, why they study mint marks and die cracks with the intensity of scholars. It is not just about wealth. It is about connection, to history, to craftsmanship, to the stories of people long gone. It is about the thrill of the chase, the satisfaction of knowledge, the spark of discovery. And perhaps most of all, it is about believing that even the smallest, most common things can hold unimaginable secrets. The 1970 penny has taught us all of these lessons and more. It has shown us that a coin can be a time capsule, a work of art, a mystery, and a dream all at once. It has reminded us that history is not locked away in museums, it is in our pockets, our drawers, our everyday lives. And it has proven that value is not static. It evolves, it surprises, it grows, just as we do. Somewhere, right now, someone is about to make a discovery they will never forget. It might happen at a kitchen table, under a cheap magnifying glass, on a rainy afternoon. They will pick up a dull old penny, glance at the date, and suddenly their heart will race. Their hands will tremble. They will realize they are holding something rare, something special, something with a story bigger than themselves. And in that moment, everything will change. That penny will no longer be just a coin. It will be a key that unlocks a world of history, passion, and possibility. Maybe that someone is you. Maybe your story is next. Maybe the most valuable thing you will ever hold is already in your home, sitting quietly among the loose change, waiting for the moment you decide to look closer. And when you do, when you find that 1970 penny that history has been saving just for you, you'll understand that this journey was never really about the coin. It was always about the search. So let this story be more than a documentary. Let it be an invitation. Go out and search. Examine, learn, question, and explore. Because every coin you hold is a piece of a larger puzzle, a whisper from the past, a spark of the future, a chapter in a story that is still being written. And perhaps, just perhaps, your hands will be the ones to turn the next page. In the end, this is the legacy of the 1970 penny. Not just a coin worth a fortune, not just a collectible worth millions, but a living testament to the human spirit itself. It reminds us that no discovery is too small, no dream too distant, no journey too insignificant. It reminds us that value hides in plain sight. It reminds us that greatness often begins with the smallest of things, and so the story ends where it began, with a single cent, born of copper and craftsmanship, carrying the weight of a century on its tiny, unassuming surface. It is a story of history and humanity, of curiosity and perseverance, of possibility and wonder. And though this chapter may be ending, the story itself is eternal, living on in every hand that searches, every heart that hopes, and every eye that dares to look a little closer. For in the end, the 1970 penny is not just a coin. It is a reminder. A reminder that the most extraordinary treasures often hide within the most ordinary things. A reminder that the smallest discoveries can change our understanding of the past and shape the way we dream of the future. And a reminder that sometimes, the greatest value in life can be found in something worth just 1 cent.